Okay, so this video will be all about different types of range referencing in Google Sheets. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So first of all, we already know how we refer to range. So if I was trying to do a sum, I would do equals sum, open parentheses, and then as a range, I would do B2 colon B and 7. That's the end of the range. Close parentheses, hit enter. And that's going to give us the sum. Now the problem with this, if I decide to add another product here, pairs, see, it will not be added to my total. So I have to go back and change this range to be able to get it in my total. The other way around it is to add the item within the range. So if I do it this way, see, it is automatically added because when you add it in the range automatically expands. I'm gonna undo a couple of times. So to solve the problem of us being able to add more to the bottom of this range and this being updated, what we can do, instead of referring to a range like this, we can refer to a column. So the way we refer to a column, we just say B column B without actually referring to row numbers. Or if you just simply go and click on the column label, Google Sheets will do it for you. If I hit enter, now this will work. And if we add another item, this works again. Now this works because the sales is text and sum function will automatically ignore text. That being said, there are some functions that will not ignore text. So let's give an example of such functions. So let's say we use counter to count number of products in this column. So if we do this and refer to the entire column, it's going to include this label on top in the count as well. So now I'm getting count 8, although I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 products, but this product label is being counted as well. So to not count that, we have the option to do this. We can start the range reference from a starting cell like A2, and then not finish the reference. So what it's going to do is going to start from A2 and go all the way down. And now we get our 7. So in Google Sheets, we have this option to have a starting point in our range and leave the end open, which will mean just go all the way down. Okay, so let's go to this other tab for a second. So this is where you find what's a good layout for a spreadsheet and what's a bad layout for a spreadsheet. So very commonly what people do, they will create a column of values and then they will do total all the way down below all of these values. Now what's the problem with that? So if I try to do a sum and I try to just open this to actually include new rows in it and do B3 through B, well, now it's going to include my number, myself, in this total, which will basically just end up with an infinite loop. So that's a problem. So this is why most of the time you want to have your data just flow down and not have any totals below your data. So a fix for this is always put your totals above your data set. So what I would do, I would just add some rows. I'm going to just clean that formatting, and then I'm going to move this above. So I'm going to move it by selecting this, Control X or Command X to cut, and then I'll go on top and do Control V or Command V to paste. So what this allows me to do, I can now have an open-ended reference. I can start from B7 and B and not mention the end. And then I should be able to just add more and it will be automatically added to my total. Now I want to copy this formula to the right for all these columns. Now the problem with this, if I just regularly drag this right, See what happened? It just ruined all the formatting I used to have. I'm gonna undo. See, we had this thinner lines in the middle, but because we drag, it takes the formatting and overwrites it. So our fix for that, we can simply copy this cell with a formula, and then we can go and highlight these cells where we want the formula copied, and then we right click and paste special, and then we paste formula only. This way we don't touch the formatting, but we're able to still copy our formula over. Now to make this look better, I'm gonna replicate this part on top as well. So I'm gonna need 2 rows. Right click, insert to above. That's good. We'll have an extra there. That's nice. Select this, copy, go here, paste. That's better. So now what I want to do, I want to just get total for multiple years of sales and multiple years of cost of goods. So to do this, I'm gonna add 2 more columns on the left side. And again, that's gonna be important. It should be on the left side for the same reason totals should be above. And you will see what I'm talking about in just a little bit. So I'm gonna add 2 columns here. Then I need to replicate all of these here. Great. So this should be 2015. So sales cost of goods. And this should be 2015. I could just drag this way. 2015. Okay, probably need to do this here too. Forgot about that. That's not 2015 though. That should have been total. And same here. So now I want to do a sum. I want to be able to sum up this, this, and this, but I also want to potentially add new ones coming up later on automatically. First of all, let me just try to sum up this, this, and this. So to do that, I'm going to use conditional summing formula. I'm going to do equals sum ifs. That's the formula I'm going to use. So instead of just sum, I'm going to use conditional sum. Like sum will highlight all the numbers we'd like to sum. So I'm going to select this range of numbers. That's the range I would like to sum up, comma. However, I don't want to just grab all of them. I only want sales, which is this label above. Now, for that, we have this criteria range in this function. So I'm going to select these. That's my criteria range. So in this range, I will check for a criteria, comma. And in that range, I want to make sure that it's sales, not cost of goods. So I'm going to click on this cell above as a criteria sales. I'm going to close parentheses, hit enter. And this should be this plus this plus this. So just to verify, this plus this plus this. Hit enter. See, the same number. So that's sum ifs. We did conditional summing. Now I want to be able to use this for cost of goods as well. So for that, I'm first going to lock my ranges. The reason I'm locking my ranges is when I drag this right, I want the same sum numbers and the same criteria range. So I'm going to highlight this, press F4, and highlight this range, press F4. Now those ranges are locked, so when I drag this right, they're not going to move to the right. I'm gonna hit enter, click on this, drag right, and this, if I check, see cost of goods moved from sales to cost of goods. That's now referring to cost of goods. And now we calculate our total cost. But I want this to be updatable. I want this to work when somebody adds a new year here on the right. So to do that, I need to also have open-ended range going to the right. Now with open-ended ranges, you have 2 options again. You can either do a row reference. So if I do 3, 3, that will refer to this entire row. But again, I don't want to do that because when I do this for some range as well and do this 4 and 4, it is going to include my numbers in there too, my total numbers. So that would not work. So I need to be able to, again, start from this cell. This cell on this criteria range is D3. So here I'm going to do D3. And then I'm going to leave the column reference open-ended to just keep going to the right. Same thing I'm going to do here. So I'm going to do D4. I'm going to start from D4 and then open-ended the entire row going right. So we still need to lock this, but there is a little problem with F4 here. So if I highlight this and press F4, see, it ruins my reference. It doesn't work for whatever reason. So I'm going to undo that. And here I have to manually add my dollar signs. So dollar for D, dollar for 4, dollar for 4, and then dollar for D, dollar for 3, dollar for 3. Hit enter, and then drag this right for coast as well. Now I want to also have this calculated for all of these products. I will have to create a very similar formula. So sum ifs, sum range is going to be this, comma, criteria range is going to be this, comma, and criteria is going to be this. Close parentheses. Now I need to do a few changes here. First, this D9 is the starting cell, but I want the column to be open-ended and go all the way to the right. So I'm going to remove the I reference here. See, it goes all the way. The same for this second range. Perfect. Now what I need to do, I need to figure out how do I lock this so that this works if I just drag this right and drag it down. First, what's going to happen when I drag this one down? This D9 to 9 range, which is here, is going to move one down. So it's going to become 10, which means we're going to now get oranges one line down, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. I want my 9s to be able to move to 10. Now let's look at this 8. This D8, which is the row number 8, this is my labels. And when I drag this one down, what I don't want to happen, I don't want this criteria range to move from this sales and cost of goods to this cell below, because I still need to check in this range if it's sales or if it's cost of goods. So I need to make sure those 8s here are locked. So dollar for this, dollar for this. Similarly, this B8, when I drag this one down from this cell, I want the criteria to still refer to this 8th row. I don't want this to move to the middle. It would still check if it's sales from here on top. So that means I need a dollar sign for that 8 as well. Going back to columns now. So far I figured out the problem with rows. So if I drag this down, that should work for all of these. See, that's good. Check this one, sales, cost of goods, and for sales, and this one, and this one. Now let's look at cost. So what happened with cost when I drag this right? See, it moved to cost. That's good as a criteria. But if you pay attention here as a range, the range started from E column instead of range starting from here, D column. So range moved right. I didn't want that to happen. So I need to fix this. You need to still fix the first formula, this one. I'm going to undo. And here, see, I'm going to look at this. So D column, see, was moving right, and it was moving to E. I don't want that to happen. So dollar for D. Same thing for this one. I don't want this range to move as well for criteria to the right. So dollar for D as well. Now, do I want the dollar for this B? B is the sales. So when I move this right from B, it's going to move to C, which is going to grab cost here, which is great because as a criteria in this range, we need to check if it's cost. So that needs to be unlocked. I'm going to leave it alone, and I'm going to drag it down, and I'm going to drag it right. So that worked, but that again ruined our formatting. So that means we're going to do copy pasting here. I'm going to undo all of this. By the way, with copy pasting, you have an advantage when you're dragging both ways. You can just copy one cell like this with Command C, highlight this area, right click, paste special, paste formula only, and that should do it. Now let's cross check our formula, make sure that's correct. This is good. This is good. Let's check coast for blueberries. That seems to be right. This seems to be right. That seems to be right. So all works great. Let's just check and make sure all of this works. So the whole idea was if we add a new year, that should just automatically be added here. The same idea on these. We should just get it in the total when we add a new year. So if I grab this and I just drag this right to make another copy of that, we should still enter our new numbers. So first, let me just clear these numbers by delete. So these are the numbers when we have 2016, 2017, 2018. Now, when we add 2019, see, it should add to our sales numbers. So I'm going to do 210,000. So that should add another 200,000 here. So it should be above 800,000. Works. Let's do that for cost of goods as well. Works too. Let's just check another one. Great. And one more. That works too. Let's also check this one. Let's drag this way. And this is already automatically working by grabbing this column. And these totals should be updated. So let's just check. If I delete, this number should decrease. This used to be our number. Undo. So it works just fine for next year. And then it's just going to keep working. Now finally, let's do some cell referencing to other tabs. So let's say I have some numbers in this tab. I want to get my total for both of these columns in a new sheet. So I'm going to add a new tab. I'm going to call this summary. Command plus plus or control plus to zoom in. I want to be able to just get the sum for all of these. If I was doing this on this tab, I would do equals sum B2 colon B. Close parentheses, hit enter. That should give me the total. Remember, this is B2 colon B. That's the range. So I'm going to go to summary. Maybe we'll just copy some labels here. So I'm going to do sum, open parentheses. Now I need to say that I want to get the information from this tab. So to do that, I'm going to start with an apostrophe and then type the name of the worksheet exactly like it appears here. So cell space references, single quote again to finish that off. Then I'm going to do an exclamation sign. And then after exclamation, I'm going to do the range like I did on the other tab. So if you remember, it used to be B2 colon B. Close parentheses, hit enter, and see I'm getting the same number. So our syntax is the name of the tab in single quotes, then exclamation sign separates the name of the tab from the range. So we do the name of the tab, exclamation point, and then the range. Another way to do this, let me do this for coast. So if you don't want to type that entire thing, sum open parentheses. After you open parentheses, this is where I need to type the name of the tab and the range, right? I'm simply going to go to this other tab. I'm going to click on cell references tab, and I'm going to just select this coast range. So I'm starting from the cell I wanted, and I drag down, and see it is already typing for me that cell references the tab name in single quotes, exclamation sign, C2 colon, but I don't want it to go until C8. I just want all the way down. So I'm going to remove that 8 reference, close parentheses. So be careful. Don't go back to the other tab. Just go to this formula bar and finish your formula. Don't click back. I have this C2 colon C. It's good. I'm closing parentheses. I hit enter, and it's going to go back to my original tab, and it's going to calculate. So now I want to use these numbers in a different tab to do a calculation. So to do that, I'm going to add yet another tab. Double click. Name this. And now I'm going to do this number on this tab. So first, let's do a label. I'm simply going to just calculate profit margin. So I have the cost, I have sales, I want my profit margin on this tab. So first, to get close to my profit margin, I need to take the cost and divide it by sales. So cost is in B2 cell and sales is in A2 cell. So I'm going to go back to this another tab. I'm going to start equal sign. I need to do the name of the tab, which is summary. So single quote, summary, single quote, exclamation sign, B2. That's the cell. And then I'm going to divide that by, again, the name of the tab, summary, single quote, exclamation sign, A2. That was the sales number, A2. I could do this, and this should work just fine. But there is another way to do this. I'll show you in a second. I'm going to hit enter. See, this works. Now, let me show you what I mean when I said there is another way. So because this summary is not multiple words, it's just a single word tab, it's not really necessary to use single quotes around the name of the tab. I could just simply say summary, exclamation sign, B2, and I divide it by summary, exclamation sign, A2. And it's going to work. As a matter of fact, if I check what happened to the previous one, see, Google Sheets removed those single quotes, even though I did them. Now, let's just get our profit margin. So this just gives us the percentage. So this gives us what percentage is our cost in our sales. So profit margin would be the reverse of this. So 69% is the cost. The other 31% or whatever it is, 30% and some change is our profit margin. So to do that, I'll go back and do 1 minus this, and that will be our profit margin now. So I could have done this formula without typing this entire thing. I can do equals 1 minus, and then I'm going to go to my summary tab. I'm going to click on this cost and then divide it. And see, this is getting on the way. So I'm not able to click on the cell. So when you're not able to click on the cell, you can either just go to the formula bar or go here and type the rest manually, or you can just click on the cell above and then use your arrow keys to just navigate one down. So see, it says again, summary B2 divided by summary A2. I hit enter when I'm done and I get the same thing. I need to format it, and here we go. The reason this works is because of the order of operations, because we're going to divide first, get this, and then do 1 minus that division. So no parentheses necessary. Hit enter. And that's how we do calculations from other tabs. So you can reference to other tabs. It's really all the same. The only difference is you just reference to the name of the tab in front of your cell or your range reference. And that's pretty much it. And that's everything you need to know about cell referencing. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.